So the second reason why investors should strongly consider investing in indexes or ETFs versus individual stocks is because of their tax efficiency. You see there's very, very little turnover, or almost no turnover, in exchange traded funds or indexes compared to managing a portfolio of stocks. If you choose, say, 20, 30, 40 stocks, for example, you're going to have to manage those transactions and buys and sells, and every time that you do so, it's going to trigger a capital gain. Whereas with most indexes, the only time that there's really an adjustment is when a security enters the index or is removed from the index. But it's important to note that ETFs are also far more tax efficient than their index mutual fund counterparts. So there's an important discrepancy there. And why that is because when a unit holder of a mutual fund redeems their shares, it is forcing the index mutual fund to actually sell the underlying index to be able to make that redemption. Whereas with an exchange traded fund or an index directly owned on the exchange, it's simply going to be peer-to-peer, which means that the buyer and the seller conduct the transaction and there's no disposition. Therefore, again, much more tax efficient. This also doesn't even include the recent innovation, which is kind of an evolution of the way that corporate class mutual funds used to perform, but now there are a series of ETF providers and index investments that can own these securities in non-registered accounts and formats, which are otherwise taxable, in what is a corporate class structure, using more complicated forward agreements and different things. But what they're able to do is you're able to invest in an index or an ETF, receive the dividends without actually triggering any tax along the way until there's a disposition. And even at that point, it's converted into a capital gain and not paid out as dividend income, which is taxed at a slightly higher rate. So once again, the tax efficiency is paramount in comparison to owning a basket or a series of securities directly, and something that every investor needs to consider, especially if they are investing over several decades, which many investors do. And if you think about how much tax can be accumulated and accrued and forced upon investors throughout their lifetime, it's something that should be considered.